Hello and welcome to MDL Voices. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of One Team MDL. Each episode will shine a light on the people driving MDL success, engineers, project managers and experts bringing hands-on experience and real-world insight into every FlexLay challenge. Today, we are right here at the heart of it all. This is the control room at MDL HQ. And on this episode, we're going to be discussing engineer excellence on the back deck. So from desktop drawings to making things happen one vessel at a time. And well, I'm delighted to be joined today by John Patterson, Operations Authority. Hello, John.
Morning.
And also James Cameron, you're a global project delivery lead. Hello.
Hi.
So to kick things off then, I believe that you both served your time offshore. You've done your bit offshore. You're now office-bound matter experts. That sounds very impressive. Let's take a look back to what it was like offshore. Do you miss those outdoor days at all? John, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, for sure. It was a great education. Being offshore and doing what we were doing, and that's putting us in a good place for taking all that experiences and good, bad and different into this environment here now, yeah.
Okay, so that experience plays a big part in what you're doing today.
Huge amount.
James, what about you? Do you miss anything about that outdoorsy offshore lifestyle that you had back in the day?
Yeah, the travel was definitely enjoyable. Got to see the world, you know, different vessels, different clients. It was from Singapore to Brazil, all over the place really. But I do feel it's more of a younger man's game, if I'm honest.
Right, okay.
As kind of kids come on the go and certain things like that, kind of took the opportunity in 2014 to transition into the office and see how it was done onshore.
Yeah, I'm sure you could still hack the pace with the younger workers of today, right? You both came to MDL from quite different backgrounds, I believe. So one from a competitor and one from a client. It seems like MDL is quite a melting pot. It seems like it's quite a good place to work, a nice mix of people. What do you think makes MDL stand out as such an attractive place to work?
Yeah, it's an attractive place to work. For my point of view is that you know, you're exposed to lots of different areas in this industry, and there's no restriction in what the company feels is a niche. They're quite open to being involved with lots of areas, which is good for, you know, the people involved and learning for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
James, any thoughts on?
Yeah, I think the fact that we're privately owned, you know, that the shareholders are in the business, and that really expedites the ability to make fast decisions and change. You know, so strategically we can pivot very, very quickly, and that makes it exciting to work. Yeah. You know, so the introduction of new technology, like this control room we're sitting in, for example, the ability to just have an idea and take it to execution really quickly is attractive.
Does that win favour with your clients, being able to respond like that?
Yeah, our clients appreciate that, and you know, they're coming across new challenges every day as well. Like, and MDL's never, you know, holding back on a challenge. We like a challenge, and we have a reputation for doing that.
And have you perhaps felt restricted in previous roles where you haven't been able to be quite as agile, perhaps?
I think in larger corporations, there's just inevitably more layers in decision making.
Yeah.
So, you know, the number of people in between the person who has the idea and then the sign off of that can be problematic, especially from
takes a long time.
From a time constraint. Yeah. And if a customer's coming with a unique challenge, and we want to try and, you know, execute on that.
Aside from the clients, we know about One Team MDL and the culture here. What's it really like working here as part of One Team MDL?
Good fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. As we said, there's loads of challenges in that because there's no restriction to, you know, we don't have limits or boundaries. We're open to take on the challenges and discuss them freely. And we've got, you know, we're allowed to get around a table, discuss everybody's opinion. It's an open table. You know, we're very free flowing, so it does help to get people to engage. Okay, everyone's on the same page. Are you also saying that you work hard and you play hard? Yeah, we'll try our best in both areas there, yeah.
Great, I like to hear that. John, you've got quite a special place in MDL's history, so I've heard that you ordered the first ever new build equipment with MDL's own brand on it. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about that time, because I guess we're going back, what, 15 years perhaps?
2010.
Right, okay.
Would have been the first time I'd met MDL. and I had a job, I had a piece of equipment getting removed from a vessel in Peterhead, and I needed some work done to it. So I had been introduced to MDL by a colleague, and they approached MDL to perform a task. It was a hydraulic repiping scope of work, and Derek actually came down, the CEO, to the job and looked at the job and priced the job up with me at that point. And that was, I think, in January, so they executed that job. And on 2010 again, March, we started into a conversation about some new equipment being supplied for a vessel I was looking to. It was a new build vessel the company I was working with at the time.
Okay.
Was putting together, and there was an opportunity for MDL to supply some of that equipment. So that was the first time that Derek had supplied something to a brand new vessel, I believe.
And did that change?
An offshore vessel, pipeline vessel, not a fishing vessel, because that's his history.
Okay.
He's done that with vessels for years, but this is probably an offshore construction vessel.
Right.
Yeah.
And would you say that changed the landscape for MDL quite a bit? What happened after that?
Well, during that scope of work, it was the company that, the offshore construction company I was working for. There are a lot of gates, a lot of things that procedures, processes that the suppliers had to follow. So, of course, a lot of these things were new to MDL. So I had a very good graduate at the time working for me, and so he was supporting MDL get into the processes, and we worked together to, which I guess would have been the start of, getting these things in place. So the MDL at the time, Derek and co, embraced in that and took on board all these things and implemented it, and it took a bit of effort and time for them to do that and do the job as well. So, yeah.
And is this for a global market?
Yeah. The products that we're building, yes, it was going onto a pipeline vessel, which was, it's worked all around the world, yes. So after that supply, 2012, we had the company I was working for had an order for a brand new pipeline vessel, and after the success of the first delivery, MDL provided equipment. We went back to MDL and got a contract in place for 10 pipeline winches, and that was based on the first experience and MDL's knowledge on winches. And to further that, we got another contract for another 3 pipeline vessels, so there was another 30 winches that was ordered from MDL. So it was a bit of a success story, I would say, for MDL at that point in time.
You've spent a bit of time in Brazil, I believe. You've travelled there quite a bit, and you still do?
Lately I was down in Brazil. What we did, we were setting up a company in Brazil. Yeah. And we the local country manager and some staff, and I was invited down to be part of that, and go around the clients in country and share my experiences with the clients to get them a level of comfort.
And I suppose that trust must be a huge part of your roles.
It's all about that.
Building these relationships.
Yeah, you spoke about the culture, and that really is based on trust. So we challenge one another very heavily and very directly every day. Okay. But we're able to do that because we trust the intent of one another, that we're aiming at the same direction, and that's really powerful. It's taken a long time to build that, I think, but we're really proud of it, that we can really challenge one another, but know that we're, aiming for the good of MDL.
Okay.
Having respect for, in all areas, like any company's got like a departments, and it's not just keeping, communication going in your department. You've got to be like going through all the departments, and that's a big role that we play. Yeah. Front end sales right to execution.
It's an interesting point that you made there, James, about kind of being able to push back and have these internal, not confrontations, but debates, and have that trust. Now, John, I believe Little Bird told me that you were reluctant to take part in this podcast, and I hear that generally you stay out of the limelight, but you're also, I believe, very well known for being outspoken when it comes to operations on vessels.
Yeah, I was I would say I would be a bit reluctant in joining this, but yeah, it's not in my comfort zone, I suppose, and being in the back deck of a vessel is definitely my comfort zone.
Right.
And
Okay.
I can bring a lot of experience to that discussion. So when you say outspoken, I'm knowledgeable on the subject, and if I'm willing to pass on my knowledge, and I'm happy to do that. A big part of my career has been not only what I know, is to try and get people to share that knowledge. And I enjoy a lot of that, actually.
And outspoken maybe sounds a little bit harsh. Perhaps it's pushing back where you need to. And I'm sure that your clients probably respect that, because ultimately you'll push back on things if you disagree with a way that they're being done for the greater good of the client, right?
Absolutely. For them and MDL in general, and the bigger picture for sure.
And that forms that whole trust piece that we spoke about.
We know who the subject matter experts are in certain areas. So whilst we'll all have a view, etc., when it comes to like the back deck of a boat, you know, John's got the most experience there, so we'll maybe contribute with suggestions. And then in other fields, it'll be other people. Yeah. You know, so there's a good understanding there.
Okay, so there's
decisions.
A lot of collaboration to get the best result. James, you have also travelled to Brazil to meet clients. Can you tell us about your experiences and perhaps the need for that face-to-face engagement?
Oh, face-to-face is, you know, it's the first choice every time, because to really understand what's going on in any situation, you know, you need to be looking at people in the eyes and really be able to get the context. Even over a video screen isn't the same, and then when you draw back to emails or text, obviously it's an even more diluted picture. So we've done a lot of work in Brazil over the last few years, and getting down there and meeting with clients, meeting with operators there, and really getting to understand the nuances of what we're having to deliver is invaluable. So yeah, we would...
And understand their cultures as well, and
absolutely.
Their practices.
And are these relationships formed in the office, or is it on the golf course, or going out for dinner?
Well, it's both, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's definitely both. You know, you'll maybe talk about technical detail or something in the office, but then when you're out to dinner or whatever, you'll just get a bit more to understand the person, what their drivers, what their personal drivers are.
So this human interaction piece, we know that's important, but James, I know that you're also very data driven. So why would that be important for the execution of these projects?
Yeah, I believe in data, I believe in substance, I believe in being able to demonstrate. When I think about data, I like decisions to be informed based on fact as far as possible. Now, that's not always possible, but because we've done a lot of repetitive style work, we generate a lot of data, and we can look at that to see how we've truly performed and bring that to bear on what we're going to do next. So I certainly prefer data over conjecture.
So data, but I've also had a note that you are a little bit obsessed around processes. But hey, processes are important. Doesn't sticking to processes go against some of that flexible mindset that we have here at MDL? How do you balance that?
Balancing it is key. So you have to balance agility with control. If you have agility without control, then you're a scattergun approach, and if you've got too much control, you've got a bureaucracy. So you have to reach each situation kind of individually and get the balance of agility and control. And as long as there's an element of both proportionate to what it is that's being considered, then you'll come to the right answer. But like I say, that is the difficult bit, getting the right balance. And then MDL, I think we've done a good job of that, because like I say, it's based on an entrepreneurial mindset, but we're scaling. So we just have to have that balance of, check and balance before we make a decision. But that's the challenge.
And that's where that One Team MDL, that culture piece comes into it, where everybody understands that it's you're on the same page moving forward.
It is, and it isn't always understood day one. Yeah. And you've got to work at it. And James, and you've got a reputation of dogging it down and keeping it going. And I think if you didn't have that in this industry, like, things just get swept aside. And if you believe in something and you think it's going to make a difference, like, you keep at it, and James is good at that. Like, so.
Okay. I use a kind of skiing analogy, like, it's you try and stay on the piste, but it's okay to go off piste as long as you know where the piste is, in terms of process. We need to have some reference point to it.
That's a good analogy. Let's keep this on piste as we go through the podcast today. Let's talk about talk me through, in fact, how MDL identifies the best solutions for maybe a customer's challenge. What does it take in terms of information and interaction?
Sure. Well, I think I'll go back to my original point of clearly understanding what the client's requirements are. There are different ways that this process can follow, if you like, where a request for quotation might come in through an email, which is a written document, but that would obviously just be a starting point to a conversation. The more you can actually understand the client's challenges, the challenges beyond that, the bigger picture, you can really drill down into a more accurate solution. So,
okay.
yeah, that's...
Yeah, and I think MDL's managed to get a good level of experience and knowledge in the company. They've grown in numbers, and the people they've employed and got us around now, they're all knowledgeable people in their all areas. So when you sit down around the table at the starting stage, it's having that depth of experience and knowledge. It's looking at the job day one from all aspects.
Okay.
And I think we're in a good place in terms of that, when we've got a lot of good people around.
Yeah. Okay. Good people around, but sometimes frustrations. What would your biggest frustrations be in this whole solution finding process? What do you come up against that you have to navigate your way around?
I think the first thing I would say is we both enjoy living in a bit of chaos. So if it was all just plain sailing, we'd probably get bored. But in terms of frustrations, I'd honestly say that that's just part of how it has to be when you're trying to do complex activities. So it's just par for the course, I think.
Yeah, I also understanding the frustration and understanding, is it just local to yourself or is it like collective frustration, and trying to understand why others didn't see the frustration, and then that takes you around to think, well, maybe it isn't really a problem.
Do you do a lot of this problem solving in your downtime? Do you do laps of the office, or do you go out for a run?
We do laps of the office basically just on a daily basis doing our job, because we're on all the different floors, different departments, trying to keep
bringing the departments together
yeah.
and understanding their frustrations is like what we do.
Okay.
And sometimes that is taken on board willingly, and sometimes it's seen as a nuisance. But at the end, the result is that you've just got to get everybody talking it all through from the start to finish.
So there's frustrations internally, but I'm sure externally there must be frustrations as well. What's it like on the client side? What challenges might you face, and how would you deal with those?
Yeah, well, coming from the client background to this place, dealing with the client has got its challenges.
Okay.
Bearing in mind that they're a client and we've got to take on board their points. However, it can get very frustrating when they're clearly not on a success path, and we can see that, and we've got to point that out to them. I could use an example of a client that went and purchased a vessel, for example. It's a big deal, that.
Yeah.
And it was difficult to tell them that the vessel they bought that they were going to use to do the application of the job was not fit for purpose, really. So
yeah, because you've walked in the client's shoes, you've been there, so you know how it feels from their side, but ultimately you're here to give the best advice for the best results. And
that's it, exactly. And it's a hard conversation, but normally the client will see what the point is, and at the end of the day, accepts the fact, and that's a win-win, and they're seeing MDL as being a proactive part of the journey, even though it's difficult, and they do get it, and it's just all about finding the right opportunity and the way of doing that, telling them,
So, James, do you have any further points on that?
Well, I think what John's covering there really probably speaks to the manufacturing side of the business, but maybe just to offer something on the rental side that can be a little bit challenging, is that the rental model is very fast moving, it's very iterative, and one of the things we like to be able to react to is mobilising quickly after getting a commitment from a customer. But one of the frustrations or challenges with that comes that within a very short period of time you have to align on what it is that you're going to deliver from an operational point of view, and the client might not always see the importance of clarifying certain things just immediately, which makes it really challenging. So as soon as we get a contract, we can almost be struggling to get all the information we need immediately, if you like, to deliver the best customer experience at mobilisation. So that can be a challenge. But I think once we've overcome that once with a customer and they realise the benefit, then we can be off to the races for the second time. Yeah. And one of the things that we really try to get after is repeat work. by demonstrating where we're adding value.
Yeah.
So that can be a challenge in the rental.
Sometimes that can be quite a bold move. You want the repeat business, but you're telling the clients that you're doing the right thing, and the goal is for you to continue working with them. So everything you're pushing back on is for a valid reason. So.
Yeah, they get the benefit.
Yeah.
And that, as you say, the repeat work comes based on that. That's when you build up that trust and confidence together.
Okay. These are the challenges that we all embrace, right? Look,
and don't ignore them.
Yeah, absolutely. We are almost out of time. I guess I have one more question. Just from my own nosy point of view, I want to know a little bit about the control room. What can you tell me about where we are right now?
Sure. Well, it's recently been built. It was vision really of the CEO, Derek, and it brings together a few different things. Certainly the cutting edge technology that's on the market just now, and it's to basically overcome a challenge where, as the company has grown, we've got a handful of subject matter experts with a kind of level of experience as John and a few others, but to be able to try and harness that to be able to get it live to vessels all over the world. So we've got like dedicated Starlink and internet connectivity on all the vessels that we go into, with camera setups, etc., remote headsets, so we can basically tap into any vessel from this control room, and the likes of John or myself or someone can come in here and support remote operations. So it's just bringing our global operations into this room and leveraging the knowledge and experience that's within the company, which is a great step forward.
Absolutely, and there's like so much things that will come out of this as time goes on. There's going to be, like you say, the operational point of view. You can monitor that, and you've maintenance, and you've got like training. It's got a huge potential, and clients will get more familiar with this, and before you know it, this will be a norm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Look, I've got to say some really interesting points and insights. I find this really fascinating. John, James, thank you both very much for your time.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
So thank you for listening to MDL Voices. To explore more stories, case studies, or find out how MDL can support your next project, you can visit us online, maritimedevelopments.com, or make contact with any of the team behind the expertise. Until next time, trust the experts, and don't forget, stay tuned for more insights from One Team MDL.